KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
You ready?
It's the queen of royal badness.
It's time for the Raw Report with Robin Ayers.
Highlighting people and things you should know about.
Robin's got you covered. Follow Robin at Robin Ayers. You're listening to the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
Robin's got a lot to talk about.
Goozilla, baby. Four-leaf clover. Maybe we'll get over. Dry up my coat your way. Here I am.
Welcome to the Raw Report on KBLA Talk 1580, where we bring you the latest in entertainment news, trending topics, and interviews. I'm your host, Robin Ayers, with you Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. And this is such a feel-good song. Part of the joy of my day is watching Andy put on these amazing songs and watching him just be in the mood and in the vibe, and I love it. And this song is such a great one, Andy, so thank you for that. Okay, well, happy Tuesday to you, those of you who are listening right now and joining us over in our YouTube chat. I hope you've had a great day. I know I have. It's been nice. We, of course, as you have probably seen by now with the flyer that I posted, we've got a lot to talk about today, and you can call in. If you have something that you want to weigh in on, by all means, you could do that by calling 1-800-920-1580. And you don't have to call. You can actually join us over in our YouTube chat and, give us your thoughts over there. That's always a great place to be because we have a great community over there. So shout out to all of you as well. If you want, you could even use our open mic feature that's on our KBLA 1580 app. You should be following us, by the way, on all of our social media platforms at KBLA. What did you think? It was going to be something different? No, KBLA, we keep it simple. And you should follow me as well at Robin Ayers on all of my social media platforms. Okay, well, I do have a couple of updates for you. The strike is going on. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But one of the updates is NBC Universal has been fined. $250 is not a lot of money, especially for NBC Universal. But they trimmed the trees on Barham Boulevard near their, right by their studios. They trimmed the trees, and that's where all the actors and the writers were seeking comfort from the heat. I don't know if y'all been outside lately, but outside it is no joke, and especially when you start getting over there in the valley, the heat is obviously it's really hot, but it's somewhere hotter than the 90s, of course. And if you go deeper into the valley, it can be upwards of 100, 109 where I live, 110. It's just ridiculous. So imagine being out there striking and you're trying to seek some sort of comfort. Anything that you can receive is appreciated, and they want to go ahead and trim the trees. But NBC Universal has responded, and they said, we understand that the safe tree trimming of the ficus trees we did on Barham Boulevard has created unintended challenges for demonstrators, and that was not our intention. We don't know about that. We don't know if we believe you. But anyway, they have paid a fine. So I'll be out there, by the way. I will be striking this Friday. So I will be out there in camaraderie with all of our actors and writers as well. Imagine being a Black-owned restaurant over in Chicago, and you're like, listen, I know Beyonce is coming to town. It would be really nice if they came into this restaurant. I mean, you're a smaller Black-owned restaurant, and imagine Jay-Z walks on up in there like, can I get the rib sandwich? That's what happened. It actually happened. The co-owner of the restaurant, this woman spoke it into existence. Basically, Bronzeville Soul Restaurant in Chicago. Jay-Z walked in and said he had heard about it. So I tell people this all the time. It is so important to make sure that your names, people speak well of you, that your reputation precedes you in a great way. Because listen, you never know who's going to walk into your place of business or want to do business with you. So shout out to Jay-Z for blessing that family. They are so happy about it. Andy, let's just go ahead and get into the Rob Report right now.
Now it's time for a breakdown.
As you know, and I'm sure you've heard because this has been the news of the day, actually, 18-year-old Bronny James suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. Heartbreaking. 18 years old. We all are watching Bronny, as he just jumps into what's next for his career. He is going to USC. He committed there. And then something like this happens. This is not a heart attack, by the way. I know people have been using that term interchangeably. It's not a heart attack, but we will talk about this and break this down, what this means and what happened with him. Obviously, we don't know any updates. We do know that he's in stable condition, but we'll break down the rest of this and maybe what we can look forward to with his career. We're also going to talk about, speaking of the writer's strike, we're going to talk about this child star, Giovanni Samuels, who had an entire breakdown on social media, but she was talking some facts. She was speaking facts about some of the things that people don't quite know. And she's a child star, like I said. So she's breaking some things down. We'll talk about that as well as maybe a little bit more information that people don't know about the writer's strike. So we will do that on the other side. You are listening to the Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580. Stay there.
Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Eric Bellinger hanging out right here with my family at the Rob Report. Keep it locked.
You're inside the Raw Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
Meet Joe A,
Hi.
Joe B,
Hello.
and Joe C.
What's up?
3 everyday Joes perfecting their banking with Chase. Joe A is locking his lost debit card with the Chase mobile app. Joe B is cruising toward his new ride with AutoSave. And Joe C's Chase banker is helping him budget to go back to school. Tools that help protect. Support for what's next. One bank that puts you in control. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase. Make more of what's yours.
Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Messaging and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Shop end-of-season deals during the Truckload event at Lowe's. Right now, save on major appliances and get an additional 10% off in-store clearance appliances. Plus, take up to 50% off select patio furniture and accessories, and save on select grills and outdoor power equipment. Great deals are happening now, in-store and online. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 7/26. Exclusions apply. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. See Lowe's.com for details.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Moments like seeing my son's team cheer him on mean a lot to me. But after being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, or MBC,
NBC, which is breast cancer that has spread to other parts of the body, they mean even more. I take Ibrance, palbociclib.
Ibrance 125 milligram tablets with an aromatase inhibitor is for adults with HR-positive, HER2-negative NBC as the first hormonal-based therapy. Ask your doctor about Ibrance and visit Ibrance.com. Ibrance may cause low white blood cell counts that may lead to serious infections. Ibrance may cause severe inflammation of the lungs. Both of these can lead to death. Tell your doctor right away if you have new or worsening symptoms, including trouble breathing, shortness of breath, cough, or chest pain. Before taking Ibrance, tell your doctor if you have fever, chills, or other signs of infection, liver or kidney problems, are or plan to become pregnant, or are breastfeeding. Common side effects include low red blood cell and low platelet counts, infections, tiredness, nausea, sore mouth, abnormalities in liver blood tests, diarrhea, hair thinning or loss, vomiting, rash, and loss of appetite.
Okay, team, line's already around the block, and we're open in 10. Yesterday, we had 3-hour wait time.
Chef Pierre's staff is a little under-seasoned.
Why is this pot not boiling yet?
An experienced sous chef is the missing ingredient in his kitchen.
What do you mean, plate or a bowl? You work at La Pasta in La Cup.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Gain presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer lasting scent.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action is the youth component of the impactful CBO, known as the Community Coalition. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action has chapters at almost every South LA high school. Say Yeah, as they are popularly known, is located at 80th and Vermont, but serves young people all over South LA. Under the COCO umbrella, they train youth organizers, help underserved scholars prepare for college, and work with students to help them gain admission to top universities. South Central Youth Empowered Through Action fosters teen activism, where young people have led campaigns moving tens of millions of dollars to South LA schools and forcing officials to make AP classes available to students in under-resourced institutions. SCES scholars have taken part in the March on Washington, been published in major news outlets, and been elected to city council. Long before she was mayor, Karen Bass started the program when she founded the Community Coalition. To donate, volunteer, or enroll a student in South Central Youth Empowered Through Action, please visit cocsouthla.org. cocsouthla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Giving you your daily dose of entertainment and celebrity news. You're inside the Rob Report. With Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
And you already know the deal. I'm not here to do this by myself. We have got Avi Bernard on the line with us, joining the Raw Report. Hello, Avi. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, Robin. Always a pleasure to be with you.
Definitely appreciate it. So, literally first things first, this morning, I open up messages and see news headlines, and I see Bronny James suffers a sudden cardiac arrest, and I'm like, how? I mean, obviously I did some more research after that, but he just seemed to have been in such great health, obviously on such an amazing trajectory that he was on with his basketball career. And it did take for me to do some research so that I can get my own understanding, because Avi, like I can't seem to understand how something like this could happen to this young man, and it's really unfortunate. But give me your first thoughts. Were you sort of like devastated like everybody else? Obviously there was some relief knowing that he was in stable condition by the time the news got out. But outside of that, tell me, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, just really, really sad. And as you said, devastated because, we all know LeBron James, and of course we know him on the basketball court, but those of us who follow basketball and follow LeBron James know that he really cares about his family. Like he already has such a heavy load on him just carrying an NBA franchise, but he makes it harder on himself by really making it a point to go to his son's games whenever he can, even if it means him, having to stay out late or get up early and affects his practice schedule. And we all know how important the game is to him, but his family is even more important. And so when you see someone like Bronny James suffer cardiac arrest as a teenager, it is really devastating because, as you said, Robin, he's in such great shape. But the thing is, with the heart, it doesn't matter what kind of shape you're in. It matters what kind of shape the heart itself is in.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, heart conditions go undiagnosed. And we don't know yet if that's the case with Bronny, but it's possible. And it's just not normal for a perfectly healthy teenager to suffer cardiac arrest if there's not some inciting event. And so, obviously, we're just really grateful that he's okay. And it's yet to be determined whether he's going to be able to continue to play basketball. When something like this happens, doctors have to reevaluate, what's going on with him. Was there an undiagnosed heart condition? What's the risk of continued participation? And all that has to be worked out. But right now, just really grateful he's okay and take it one day at a time and find out what happened.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely, I think that's probably the number one thing that's on especially his family, on their list, is to find out what happened. And maybe there's something that we just don't know, that there was already some sort of pre-existing condition with his heart. We just don't know. But I'm sure they will find that information out. But I want to give everybody just a little bit more of an understanding that I had to get for myself, because like I said, just reading this information, I was like, I don't understand it, right? And I'm not a doctor. These are things that I found out. But if you don't know, it was Monday that a 911 call was made. It was like almost 9:30 in the morning from USC, where Bronny was playing. He was practicing. As you know, he committed to USC, and he suffered a sudden cardiac arrest. Now, the difference, because a lot of people I saw, were saying he had a heart attack. And that's different. That is not true. A heart attack is when the blood flow to the heart is blocked. And sudden cardiac arrest is when the heart malfunctions and suddenly stops beating. And a lot of people, such as Damar Hamlin, we know obviously what happened with him. It was a nationwide. It was sort of like a gathering. It was like he sort of galvanized fans and people who just don't even like football at all, but everybody was praying for him and all of that when he collapsed back in January. We know Damar Hamlin he is 25 years old, from the Buffalo Bills. His sudden cardiac arrest was caused by commotio cordis, which is the sudden arrhythmic death caused by a low or mild chest wall impact. So I wonder, you ever have those, and I'm just curious about this, those like heart skip a beat moments in your life for one reason or another? I don't know if you had a Red Bull or something in the heart palpitations. Have you ever had those, experienced it?
I've never experienced any heart palpitations, thankfully, but you mentioned Damar Hamlin and commotio cordis. And that is what that was. And that's a completely different thing than what appears to have happened to Bronny. I mean, we don't know if something did happen that was similar to commotio cordis. If he maybe, if someone threw the ball at him or something. I don't know what happened. I'm just saying that's for commotio cordis to happen, as you mentioned, it has to have been from a blow. And actually, commotio cordis is most frequent in baseball and badminton and hockey, in sports that have small projectiles like a baseball or a hockey puck or a badminton ball. Those are the kind of things that usually cause commotio cordis. Not even football, but those things that hit you directly in the heart in a very specific millisecond within the heart's rhythm, and that's what causes commotio cordis. But that's not what appears to have happened to Bronny. And this is something that does happen. There was a basketball player named Hank Gathers, who for Loyola Marymount University here in LA, in 1990, he was playing in a game and he collapsed and he died. And he was an amazing player, 6'7", just an amazing player, and he died because of a heart condition. And this does happen. It's a completely different thing than commotio cordis, but the heart is just obviously the heart is one of the most instrumental parts of the body, and the slightest thing going wrong with the heart is a devastating thing for any human being, especially when you're in the middle of a really difficult physical task like playing a sport.
Wow. Well, they say that sudden cardiac arrest is hailed as the #1 killer of student athletes and is most prevalent among male basketball players. That is a scary statistic, and I just don't know. I know all of us are sitting here wanting more answers, but what I am now thinking about him being in stable condition, what does the future look like? Is this something, I asked over in our YouTube poll, should Bronny continue to play after he recovers from sudden cardiac arrest? And 62% of people say, yeah, he should. He should go on and continue to play. I don't know what that must be like, especially if this to him has come out of nowhere. Fearing that it could possibly happen again, no matter what doctors say, no matter what your recovery looks like, fearing that it could happen again. I don't know what that feels like. And especially, him and his parents, his family. What do you think? I mean, and you obviously have known other situations like this to have happened. People have died, but then people have had cardiac arrest and recovered well. Athletes have recovered, such as Damar Hamlin. He's recovered. And but what does that look like in your opinion? Should he continue to play?
So our wonderful KBLA listeners, I love you, but unless you 62% are looking at the CAT scan, you cannot say what Bronny should or should not do. It only depends on what the risk factors are, and none of us as non-doctors know what that is. So he had this event, and maybe it was isolated, maybe it was part of a broader condition, and that's what we need to find out, and that's what only doctors can tell us. So it's not an emotional decision, or it shouldn't be. It should be a medical decision. Should he continue to play? Is it safe for him to play? That's the main thing. Is it safe for him? And that's something that his doctors are going to have to tell him, to work out with him. He's going to get multiple opinions, I'm sure, and then he'll have to make that decision. But until we know all the facts, we cannot say whether he should or should not, because that is just too early to tell, and we really need to have all the facts. I mean, imagine if it was you or if it was your child. You want to know everything about what happened. You want to know what the risk factors are, what's the likelihood that it's going to happen again. And until you know all those things, there's no way we can say whether he should play or not.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think obviously they're just going by the question, and after he recovers, we're assuming that he'd be released to play again. So if that were the case, should he continue to play? And most people think that he should. It's changing up a little bit now. 44% say no. And Forrest Harrison, actually, this is a good point. Shaq's son actually had surgery on his heart as well. He had some conditions going on. And it's just a scary thing for parents. And this is, LeBron James, we know he wanted more than anything to play with his son. And it's a possibility that his career could be over before it even begins. So I don't know where you take it from here, where to go from here, but this is just such a scary thing for that family. I just don't know where they go from here.
You take it one day at a time, Robin. You take it one day at a time, and you just be grateful that he survived, because in the example I mentioned earlier, there are many examples just like that. And the main thing is he made it. He's okay. That is just the best possible news, because this could have gone a whole lot worse, and thankfully it didn't. And Bronny is safe and he's healthy. And, the basketball is secondary. Obviously it would have been cool to see LeBron and Bronny both play together on the same team, especially if they're on the court together at the same time, especially if it's for the Lakers. But, that's all cherries. That's all cherries on top of the ice cream. We have to just be grateful right now that Bronny's okay. And anything that happens with basketball is just extra.
Amen to that. Penny Thompson says there have been a lot of high school and college athletes that have underlying conditions never diagnosed until they push the limit in their sport. And this is true. And it's I know parents right now who, they take their sons. I'm mainly just talking about because it's for basketball. They'll take their sons over to get their checkups or whatever you need in order to get released to play basketball. And these screenings aren't a part. I mean, these heart screenings, they don't seem like they're a part of the process.
They're not.
Should they be?
They should, and it is true that they're not, because I played football in high school and college. They give you physicals, but they don't give you a stress test, and that's what you need. You need a heart stress test, and that's not part of the average physical. And I'm not even sure if that will determine every possible heart condition, but I know it will definitely catch some of the issues. But one thing I want to do, Robin, is just give a shout out to a young man that I coached who died. I used to coach college football, and this young man, I coached him in middle school, and the year after I coached him, he was a freshman in high school, and he actually died after playing football. He was hit, and then he collapsed on the field, and then he later died the next day. And so that was a different condition. That was obviously a head thing, but sports are risky, and I just wanted to give a shout out to my young fella Spencer Juarez, who is the kid that passed away back in 2009. But the situation is tough, and just wishing Bronny the best. And ideally, there would be a way that they could increase the testing for this type of thing, because it is a very serious problem.
Yeah. Well, that was a beautiful shout out. So thank you for doing that. And I will say this, sometimes all it really takes is for someone with money, power to make a difference. If it happens to someone like LeBron James, this could become now one of the standard things that happens with these physicals. It could be a stress test now included. And we hope so. We hope so. That'll prevent a lot more deaths with these young athletes.
And that's what's happening with DeMar Hamlin, because as you mentioned, Commotio Cordis, the only way to come back from that is with a defibrillator. And a lot of high schools don't have defibrillators handy at their athletic events, but more and more are now starting to have them. And they have to be really close by, because you don't have a lot of time when Commotio Cordis happens. So now that the DeMar Hamlin situation happened, and everyone was so concerned for him, and it did open a lot of people's eyes to that situation, and now a lot more high schools are getting defibrillators closer to their athletic events.
Well, Avi, that's a good point. Actually, there's something else that I do want to talk about on the other side regarding this. So just hold that thought. Right now, we've got news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue with the Raw Report on the other side. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, I'm Damian Young. I'm chilling with Robin on the Raw Report.
More of the Raw Report with Robin Ayers when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden is designating a national monument to honor Emmett Till and his mother, Mamie Till Mobley.
Only with truth comes healing, justice, repair, and another step forward. We got a hell of a long way to go.
The president signed a proclamation Tuesday establishing 3 sites, including 2 in Mississippi and 1 at the church on Chicago's South Side where Emmett Till's funeral was held. Bronny James, the son of basketball superstar LeBron James, reportedly suffered a cardiac arrest during basketball practice. James was rushed yesterday morning from practice to an intensive care unit at a nearby hospital. He is now out of the ICU and is said to be in stable condition. The relentless heat wave that's been hitting the Southwest for weeks is expanding toward the middle of the country. It's likely to bring temperatures toward 100 degrees to several Midwest states this week, while the East Coast could see its hottest weather of the summer. And that is the latest. I'm Doug Davis from the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
In East LA, 710 southbound before Whittier Boulevard. That accident is clearing to the right shoulder, but you're going to see delays from Cesar Chavez Avenue. Pico Rivera, 605 southbound before you get to Whittier Boulevard. Got a brand new accident. The carpool lane is going to be blocked, and it's slow from the 60 and in South LA. On the 110 northbound before Adams Boulevard. That earlier wreck clearing to the shoulder. You're hitting the brakes from Vernon Avenue.
Wendy's is open until midnight or later, which means all your favorite menu items are up later too. The Baconator still tastes just as juicy and bacony at night, so listen to that craving and turn in for the night at a Wendy's drive-thru. Hours may vary at participating U.S. Wendy's.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
A scary moment for LeBron James and his family. LeBron's oldest son, Bronny, suffered a cardiac arrest Monday evening while practicing with USC's basketball team. The 18-year-old star was rushed to a nearby hospital where he remains under observation. A family spokesperson said Bronny is out of the intensive care unit and is in stable condition. LeBron's family released a statement thanking the medical staff at USC for their quick response. Bronny will be a freshman at USC in the fall. He's been on campus working out with the team to prepare for USC's trip to Europe for exhibition games against teams in Greece and Croatia. USC is scheduled to leave next week. Bronny's collapse brought up memories of what happened to Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin in that NFL Monday night game in January. We'll keep you updated on Bronny's condition. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is dedicated to empowering our communities by providing progressive talk radio for our audience. We strive to be an intersectional voice for the voiceless. As a Black-owned and operated station, we are committed to highlighting diverse perspectives and creating safe spaces for meaningful dialogue. We believe that everyone has something unique to bring to these political, economic, social, and cultural conversations, and we don't shy away from the hard conversations about current events. We endeavor to be a beacon of hope and understanding, while boldly challenging listeners to think more deeply about difficult topics that impact us all. With this in mind, our mission statement at KBLA Talk 1580 is simple: to create an inclusive platform that promotes civil discourse through honest dialogue and encourages personal growth among our listeners, so they can become the active agents of change. Our vision is to establish ourselves as the premier radio network with relevant programming across the beloved community, connecting people through shared experiences and collective power for lasting impact beyond these challenging times.
I'm James Alexander, a proud member of AARP. 1967, I was 17. That spring, my friends, the Barcades, and I made Soul Finger. It was a hit. Number 3 on the charts. That summer, we became the great Otis Redding's band. First gig, the famed Apollo. That fall, we toured. That winter found me in a morgue identifying the bodies of my bandmates and Otis Redding. My music and their memories bring me joy. The Barcades forever.
What would you call a joy that is as solemn as it is sweet and knows no bounds? A joy that's beautifully rooted in soul and resilience. This is Black joy, a joy that reflects pride and honor despite every challenge. AARP believes the power of Black joy is limitless, and we celebrate this joy supreme. Join us in celebrating Black joy at aarp.org/Black community.
Contracts, and grants. This is Rambo, and I'm back August 5th. Contracts, and grants. I'll be at the Westin Hotel, LAX, Saturday, August 5th. Me and my guests are fast-paced in the contracts and grants. They only speak 6 minutes each. I have LA County, I have the city, I even have Everett, the CEO of Lindustry, coming to talk to you guys. And for the first time ever, I have Metro's Director of Certification coming. We average over 700 attendees, so you know the rules. Parking's about $15 with the event validation, event, coffee, snacks, all free, paid for by Rambo Industry. And yes, you can bring guests. So save your seat, DeonRambo.com. Listen, contract ready's only 2 hours from 10 a.m. to 12. But if you get there around 9:30, I'll probably be doing some Q&As and things like that before the events I never get a chance to do. I honestly keep saying, I don't know what's more important for LA businesses right now than local contracts. So I'm back, Westin Hotel, LAX, Saturday, August 5th. August 5th. It takes 2 minutes to register. DeonRambo.com. Go register now. DeonRambo.com.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Maisha Cairo here with a quick recap from my time at JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. There were speakers Ian Dunlap, Damon John, Lynn Richardson, MC Light, Don Kennedy, to name a few. Take a listen to what Justin Grant, Community Development Lead at Chase's Advancing Black Pathway, let's see what he had to say.
So I'm Justin Grant. I lead community development and national partnerships for JP Morgan Chase's Advancing Black Pathway strategy. And so we're focused on strengthening the economic foundation of black communities, and we're making targeted investments in programs like the Advancing Black Wealth Tour to help us get our tools and resources out to the community to drive sustained impact over time.
So when it comes to black and brown people, it sounds like Chase is making it their personal responsibility, not only to facilitate these events, but to educate and provide resources. So, Mr. Grant, I have to ask, what does wealth building look like for the individual?
It's home ownership, it's having that freedom to be able to start your own business and create jobs in your community, and it's having that long-term plan towards retirement, having that vision for what you want your life to be, and you have the resources to actually live it.
I'm Maisha Cairo. Thanks for sticking around. That was my recap from Chase's Advancing Black Wealth Tour. First stop was here in LA, and they're taking it national.
Keeping you informed about what's really going on. Who's got next? And what not to miss in entertainment. You're listening to The Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
Look in your eyes and I can see you've loved so dangerously. You're not trusting your heart to anyone.
Welcome inside the Rob Report. If you're just joining us, we are having a conversation with our entertainment contributor of the day, Avi Bernard, regarding this Bronny James situation. He suffered a sudden cardiac arrest, and he is now in stable condition, which is the great news. But we just don't know what happens from here. Once he recovers, once he is given the release from from the medical staff who is working with him, will he go on to continue to play and do some amazing things that we all expect him to do? Or is he gonna put that to bed? I don't know. I personally hope that he continues to make history. Even I hope that for him. But we were having this conversation, Avi. I said that I wanted to ask you a question and kind of continue this conversation when it comes to the coaches and trainers when it comes to basketball. And you mentioned defibrillators. Is this something that you believe coaches, trainers should be trained in utilizing them just in case? Because Andy and we were having this conversation. And what if Bronny was not at practice? What if he was just at the city park? What if he was just at a friend's house? This could have been a completely different situation. DeMar Hamlin, same situation. He collapsed right there on the field where immediate medical staff was able to tend to him. This won't always be the case, right? What do you feel about coaches or trainers, and even to Andy's point, making it a thing where nurses and people at city parks are able to be trained using defibrillators? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that would be wonderful if that was able to happen. All coaches and athletic trainers should be trained in how to use a defibrillator, but most coaches are not. All nurses should be. I'm not sure if all nurses are, because I've never gone through nurse training, but I know that most coaches do not know how to use a defibrillator. And that should change, but there unfortunately aren't always a whole lot of standards when it comes to what it takes to become a coach, especially at the youth level, because a lot of times, especially in inner city areas, we just need someone to take that position. We need someone to be able to coach those kids. And unfortunately, they don't have to undergo any training or even have a lot of knowledge about the sport. So, ideally, it would be a situation where even coaches in high school and middle school had that training. But if we could get it to the point where it was coaches at city parks or even, nurses at city parks, usually at city parks, there's no supervision. I spent a lot of time at rec centers just playing basketball with my peers. It was just us. If something would have happened, there would have been nothing anybody would have been able to do. So, you know, I don't know how you remedy that situation, because you got to, you know, you want parks to be available for kids to go and play, but they're not always going to have adult supervision. They're not always going to have medical staff at most places like that.
Well, like I mentioned before, sometimes it takes someone with power, with money, or someone very, very important for this to happen to, for things to change, right? Recently, we noticed in the headlines, all the news companies were talking about it. Everybody was talking about how there were so many overdoses that were happening at high schools. And as a result of that, it got to a point where it was just ridiculous. These kids were overdosing on school campuses. And as a result, it's now a policy to have Narcan, the drug Narcan, that will help revive these students who are overdosing in an emergency situation. Something like that needs to become a policy. And unfortunately, I don't want to make it sound as though it's only prevalent because we're talking about Bronny James. This should have been the case regardless. It just so happens to be right now we're talking about Bronny. So, yeah, I agree. Andy was also mentioning the food. Food plays such a large part. That's a whole other conversation that we could get into at another time. But it's really unfortunate what's happened to him. But I'm an optimist, though, at the same time, Avi. So I'm hoping and I'm optimistic that something good will come out of this negative situation, hopefully for other students or, you know, young athletes along the way.
I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah. I do want to go ahead and talk about this particular, or I don't know if we are or not, because it seems like we may be getting some phone calls. People want to chime in on this. I don't know. First of all, Avi, I saw you out there striking. You were out there striking with your SAG-AFTRA and writer teams, and you were, you know, doing your part. What did you feel about the fact that NBC Universal trimmed the trees on Barham and took away the shade for these people to you know, be protected while they're out there striking?
It shows you exactly who they are. I mean, if you had any doubt about who the actors and writers are dealing with, who they're up against, just look at that one example. If they weren't some big evil corporation, would they have done that? I mean, honestly, who does that? That is someone who is petty, who does not care about the well-being of people. You have older actors out there striking. I mean, what do you want someone to die? And look, we're talking about people collapsing during athletic events. It doesn't always have to be an athletic event. It could just be because of extreme heat. That happens all the time too.
Absolutely.
And you got a lot of older people, a lot of people who are not in the best shape out there striking just for fair wages. And you're gonna cut a tree down, and you're going to say, "Oh, yeah, we were already going to cut that tree down anyway."
Exactly.
If you don't shut up,
yeah,
I mean, come on.
I know.
And then you get fined, from the city or whatever because you weren't supposed to cut that tree. So yeah, I mean, if just for people who don't know exactly the whole situation, what the actors are striking for, just look at this one example and ask yourself: is this a company that cares about people who is going to cut the shade away from people just striking for their rights? Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking because we know who has the upper hand here. We know where, well, I mean, I won't even say it that way because there's a lot of power in people who strike and say we're boycotting everything. There's a lot of power in that. But when I say upper hand, I'm talking about the people with the dollars, the people who can loosen the reins, but they just refuse to. So I see that this is a battle. And like I mentioned earlier on in the show, I am going to choose to stand with everybody on Friday. I'm going to get out there and strike. I am not in the union, but I know a lot of friends who are writers, a lot of friends who are actors, and so I'm just going to go out there. You know what? I thought we were going to go ahead and really get into this conversation, but it was important to talk about Bronny, and Forrest from Compton wants to join in and add his comments. So, Forrest, thank you for calling the Raw Report. What did you want to jump in and say regarding Bronny?
Hey, Ra, how you doing?
Hey.
What's up, Bobby B?
What up,
I'm a guy, I played Pop Warner, high school ball, and then from there I went to the Marine Corps. And at every level of different things, you're always pushed to play through the pain. And so I think that nowadays things need to probably change because we're learning more about injuries that we didn't know that we sustained, while we're playing through the pain. I played with a broken foot my last few games, and I didn't even know it was broke because the coach wouldn't take me out. And then I didn't find out it was broke because I went to the Marines right after. And then they told me my foot was broke. So I'm thinking about, he's trying to make sure that, Bronny, make sure he does everything right. He's probably trying to impress his father. And, and it's all just guessing, and playing through the pain when he's tired, and I just think that things probably need to change as far as, the kids when they're out there, when they're tired or they're hurt, or, you need to not make them play through the pain until you figure out what's really wrong with them. So
yeah, you know what, Forrest, that's such a great comment, and it's so relevant. I recently had a conversation with Reggie Rock Bythewood, if you all remember, he's the executive producer of the show Swagger. That's on Apple TV. And I started watching the show, and there's an episode where the main character, he's in a car accident with his mother. He's the number one ball player in the region at this point. Everybody's looking at him, and recruiters are coming to see him. All of the great things that we know basketball players to go through on their journey. Well, anyway, in this car accident, he hurts his hand, and he, his thumb or something, and his friend knows it. One of his best friends. He says, I don't even want to tell my mom because she's going to make a big deal of it, and basically she's going to make me stop playing. So he played through the pain as well, Forrest. He played through the pain, and though he won, one of the most important games of that of that time, his mother noticed that he was, shaking off his pain from his thumb. And I just think, how many players actually go through something like that? If I say that I'm in pain and I tell my parents or I tell my doctor or whomever that I'm in pain, will they make me stop when I'm so good, when my trajectory is it's looking so great? Will they make me stop playing? So that's a really valid point right there. And I'm not saying this is the case with Bronny. I'm just, we're just having an open dialogue about what players could possibly go through. So, Forrest, thank you so much for that call. That was really great. Appreciate you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Avi, great point.
Yeah. That's an absolutely excellent point by Forrest, and he's absolutely right, because as athletes, there is a culture of, like, even toxic masculinity, if you will, because it's, you can't say you're hurt, you can't say you're tired. You are pushed, and I experienced this as a football player too. You can't ask out of the game if you're tired. You're supposed to fight through it. Being tired is a sign of weakness.
Okay, so on that point,
you're
though,
expected to play hurt.
Avi, and I don't know if you saw this video. I'm assuming that you have, but Dwight Howard recently, he came up in a video where he's training his son. His son is crying. He's on a bike, moving his hands on a bike, and his son is like, I can't do it. His son is literally crying, and Dwight Howard, he's like, you got it. Basically the word doesn't exist, right? You could do it, push through. And social media was divided in what they thought. Some people obviously are like, our kids are weak. This generation is weak. We do, as parents, need to push our kids. On the flip side, you have a kid who's saying, I can't do it. And your parents are continuing to make you do it. I mean, there's just a whole conversation around athletes. Dwight Howard has an athlete's mind. And a lot of that is pushed through, go hard, don't stop. You're not tired, be the best. A lot of that comes from that place. But wow, what a conversation to have at some point. But I think all of it they're all great points. And this is the reason that we have these types of conversations, because conversations do create change. So I definitely appreciate you, Avi, for calling in and adding your all of your insight and great points to what we talked about today. I appreciate you.
Oh, it's my pleasure, Robin. Absolutely. And it's a fine line between pushing someone hard enough to where they grow and pushing them too hard. And as a former athlete, it can be hard to find that line, especially with younger kids. But it absolutely really important conversation. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll let everybody know you let everybody know where they can find you, Avi.
I'm at Avi Bernard on Twitter and Instagram, at Avi Bernard, AVIBERNARD.
Appreciate you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right, you too, Robin.
Okay. When we come forward, of course, we have your Who's Got Next and what not to miss. You are listening to The Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl, BB, and you're listening to me on The Rob Report on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're inside The Rob Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
The family of Keenan Anderson is suing the city of Los Angeles for $100 million. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by CaliforniaBlackMedia.org. Keenan Anderson, a high school English teacher that was visiting Los Angeles from Washington, D.C., was tragically killed at the hands of the Los Angeles Police Department in January of this year. His family, alongside civil rights and personal injury attorney Benjamin Crump and Carl Douglas, have announced a $100 million lawsuit against the city of Los Angeles. Crump and Douglas are representing Keenan Anderson's son, Sincere Anderson, and his mother, Gabrielle Hansel. The family is suing for civil rights violations, assault and battery, false imprisonment, and negligence on the part of the LAPD officers. The family of Keenan Anderson and attorneys Crump and Douglas want it to be known that this is only part of a systemic issue within the fabric of police departments everywhere. Hey LA, are you feeling the heat? LADWP has rebates up to $225 on new air conditioners to help you beat the heat and save money. Plus, you can sign up for Level Pay to get predictable monthly bills for easy budgeting. Stay cool. Visit LADWP.com/COOL-LA. That's LADWP.com/COOL-LA.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 joins you in standing for education as a right, not a privilege. Charles R. Drew University of Medicine and Science is a private, non-profit, community-founded, student-centered university committed to cultivating diverse health profession leaders who are dedicated to social justice and health equity for underserved populations. CDU does this through outstanding education, clinical service, and community engagement. Recently, Charles Drew University made history by opening only the 5th medical school at an historically black university. Congratulations, South LA, and congratulations to the dean of the medical school, Dr. Deborah Protho-Stith. CDU is now training doctors and providing $90 million in annual economic benefit to Watts and surrounding neighborhoods. To apply for medical school, get more information, or sign your child up for the Junior Doctors Saturday School program, visit cdrewu.edu. That's cdrewu.edu. At KBLA, we are dedicated to equity in education and ending healthcare apartheid, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Giving you your daily dose of entertainment and celebrity news. You're inside The Rob Report with Robin Ayers on KBLA Talk 1580.
Y'all, this one right here. This is Who's Got Next. This is Teddy Swims, called Lose Control.
Something's got a hold on me lately, though I don't know myself anymore. Feels like the walls are all closing in, and the devil's knocking at my door. Whoa, out of my mind, how many times did I tell you I'm no good at being alone? Yeah, it's taking a toll on me, trying my best to keep from tearing the skin off my bones. Don't you know I lose control when you're not next to me? I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control. Cause I want your body like a fiend, like a bad habit. Bad habits hard to break when I'm with you. Yeah, I know I can do it on my own, but I want that real full moon, black magic, and it takes two. Problematic. Problem is when I'm with you, I'm an addict. And I need some relief. My skin ain't your teeth. Can't see the forest through the trees. Got me down on my knees, darling, please. Oh, I lose control when you're not next to me. I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see?
Okay, Teddy Swims. Okay, Teddy. Teddy Swims, Lose Control. That is definitely a hybrid of soul and blues. DJ Black 909. Woo! Yeah. Blue-Eyed Soul. Absolutely. Pretty Brown Mimi. Yeah, that song is fire. I can't even lie about it. Teddy Swims, Lose Control. And Teddy Swims has got next. He's already doing some incredible things out there. What I don't want you to miss is this right here. If you are in Los Angeles, the Getty Museum is having Theater Under the Stars. Y'all, see, the summertime in LA especially, because it's so hot in the daytime, when it cools off at night, it's just the perfect temperature, right? I'm sure everywhere has this type of vibe, but Theater Under the Stars. Like, I love things like this. I love outside concerts and theater concerts and live performances and all of these things happening outdoors. I personally love that. So by all means, you go and find yourself some tickets and watch something while you can. While it's still summertime, I'm telling you, this is something that you do not want to miss. All right. You already know what time it is. It's the Voice of Reason coming up when we come forward. Tonight is going to be a great conversation. Don't forget that you brought you into this relationship with us. Oh, he's always dropping bars like that. I truly appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I deeply appreciate the engagement. Sending prayers up to Bronny James and his family for everything that they have to endure from this point on. We thank God that he's in stable condition, but we know that this is just getting started for him. So I appreciate you guys. I'm Robin Ayers, and remember today and every day forward to be a blessing.